Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from PettyRevenge, and two of them, they're not written the same way, but they have the same topic. It definitely made me raise an eyebrow when I first was reading them. Story 1 today is by Biak Panda, not Black Panda, it's Biak. They kept spamming my email, so I joined their chat. This happened about 10 years ago. I have a very common name in Spanish. My email is my first.last@gmail. I have had this email for so long I can't remember. I am not sure why, but it seems like a lot of people don't understand how email works, so I end up receiving their bank statements, bills, etc. Always from different people, their middle names are always different. Anyway, I started receiving meeting notes from this random company, spreadsheets, presentations, etc. I kindly replied to them explaining that they have the wrong email. No one ever listened. One day I get added to a group chat. Some discontinued Google products, so I join the chat. I see they start talking about some customer and asking questions. I start offering my opinion. I just make it up as I go. Some of my responses are starting to make no sense. Then I go full on bananas and start telling them they are all idiots for not checking their emails before sending invites. Lol. The meeting went silent. I was kicked out of the chat room a second later. I continue to cause some drama by editing the titles of their docs to, "You should seriously double check who you are sharing documents with." I had such a good laugh. They were not very tech savvy, as I always had access to the files for a while and went back to see them change the titles back. After 2 weeks, I got bored and just removed the docs from my drive. Never had an email from them again. Curiously, this situation happened more than once with different entities. Lol. I don't have an email that's that old with Gmail. I have an email that's actually super duper old, and I'm not going to tell you what company that is with because it's embarrassing that I still have it and use it for some things. I just did a really quick search, and apparently Gmail has over 1.8 billion active users. And that's active users that use it on a regular basis. There are tons of email accounts that people create to do nefarious or kind of underhanded things out there. And sometimes people make a random account with Gmail to use it for something that's not nefarious, but is just useful for them at the time. And then it just fades from memory and they don't remember about it anymore. Alright, and our second story today is also about Gmail by RuverX. Block me when I try to help. I'll make your app useless. I've got this old Gmail address, meaning it's just my name. No extra letters or numbers. This means I get emails intended for someone else who has the same name and just added their middle initial or number to their email, but someone fumble-fingered it, sometimes the owner of the email itself. I always try to reach out to the person so they can correct the issue, or if needed, the company that's trying to contact them. I've gotten some pretty important stuff. Job interview info, wedding info, medical info, info about their kids. Several years ago, I got a minor one with a notification that someone used my email to sign up for a food tracking app to help with their dieting. I figured out who it was and reached out to them on Facebook to let them know so they could change their email address. Instead of responding or thanking me, they blocked me. Having taken the time to try to make things right, I got pissed. I logged into their account by clicking Forget Password, which of course was sent to my email. I logged in and then reset their password. Surprisingly, this didn't affect their ability to also log in. I assumed they were using their phone versus me logging in through the web on a desktop. Every couple of weeks, I'd go in and select a few days where they'd had a snack and entered it into their data. You know, a little something like an entire turkey or a whole cheesecake. I'd always do it with some random date in the past. No clue if they ever figured it out, but it made me laugh. That is mean, but it's also funny. Alright, that concludes our 2 Gmail stories. Our next story today is by ShakyCam3. Be a jerk to me? I will win your favorite contest. So this was many years ago at a horrible call center job. The management was complete garbage at this place, especially the one dude. He was my boss's boss. Every year, his greatest achievement was winning the chili cook-off. People hyped up his chili all year. It was always a landslide to the point where hardly anybody even bothered to enter. He had a slow cooking process, used actual marinated steak in one of his secret ingredients, was a dark beer, blah, blah, blah. The prize was even a $100 gift card to his favorite fancy restaurant. Just before the contest, he took my team aside and gave us crap about our numbers from the previous month without even accounting for the fact that one of our senior team members was out for most of the month because of a death in the family. Way to make the rest of us feel like crap and motivate us to work hard, jerk. Typical toxic middle management crap, and it was par for the course with this jerk. Cue PettyRevenge. The day of the chili cook-off, I brought a big crock pot from home and went to a nearby popular fast food chain. You can probably guess the one, on my 15-minute break. I ordered 3 large chilies and threw them in the crock pot. The only way I changed it was by adding the green onions and sour cream they gave you at the time as a garnish and mixing it up. Brought it into the office and set it up. I won by a landslide. Within a few months, I got a better paying job and moved on. I told him how I won on my way out of that garbage job for good. The look on his face was absolutely priceless, and I treasure it to this day. I wish that I could find the most killer chili recipe, like something that's kind of spicy, but not too hard to make. I'm assuming this person went to Wendy's to get their chili because I enjoy their chili. I actually do. I know it's kind of generic. There's not a whole lot special about it, but it's tasty. But we made a chili once, and it was from Google. It was like one of the top responses with like 1,400 reviews upvoting it as 5-star. And we followed the instructions to a T, and it just wasn't as good. We ate it. We thought it was tasty. It was delicious, but I don't know. I gotta learn how to make a really good chili because I do enjoy chili, and I would love to make one that the whole family could enjoy at some point. I've only ever tried cooking chili that one time, and it just didn't seem like it was worth the money to me. Our last story today is by Rex Ronnie. Parking thief were a prosecutor. He found my hand-shoveled parking spot irresistible until he didn't. Some years ago, I used to live in Horten, Norway, just a minute walk to the city center. This part of Norway has nice summers and sometimes snow-rich winters. I had 2 cars at that time and had to park along the street. That winter, there was plenty of snow and no public service that removed the excess snow in my street. I had to hand clean parking spots every so often. Took easily a couple of hours after heavy snowfall. At some point, an unknown car started parking in my spot after I left for work. Having no idea who just took this place, I shoveled out 1 more parking space. Took car number 1 and parked 1 inch in front, and second car just as tight in the rear. Locked both cars and took pictures of the scene. Turns out later that a very angry man was banging on my door demanding to speak to me. Showed me a police badge explaining I had to move my car in order for him to get home. I said, "F off," and slammed the door shut. He was persistent, banging on the door, and I opened the second time. He was clearly furious and insisted I broke the law. "What law, exactly?" I replied. He went silent and said that I had to obey it or it will be consequences. Then I for once was able to stay calm and told him to order a taxi. I seem to have lost the keys while shoveling snow, but I will look for them in the daylight. Then I explained to him the hours of labor to upkeep my parking spots. If he wanted to still use them, all he had to do was make a spot for himself. He was still angry and started realizing I would not budge. He left by foot, took the car off the next day, and I never saw that guy ever again. This story always just reminds me of somebody I know who cleared their parking spot, threw the snow onto the lawn so it wasn't on the sidewalk, and then the landlord or maybe the supervisor of the place came over, and this was like happening for like a week during a heavy snowstorm. They came over and they took the snow and they shoveled it back onto her car for no reason. And I don't understand that kind of random maliciousness, but I don't know. People in this world, you never know what's going through their heads. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, I'm going to say, because this is our last cold day for quite some time, have a warm day.